Hello everyone, welcome to the financial information channel. My name is Marvin. In this video I'm going to give you an update on the video that I did during July. And during July I mentioned 5 stocks and I'm going to give you an update on how they have performed during the last 3 months. So now let's begin with the video. And the first company that I mentioned in that video was Starbucks. And Starbucks has been one of the best companies in the world. So let's see how the company has done during the last 3 months. And as you can see at this moment, during the last 3 months, the Starbucks company has been negative. The company has dropped 5.29% during the last 3 months. And now let's discuss the reason why the company has dropped that amount. The first thing is they reported earnings on July. During July, they reported another bad quarter. The EPS was in line with the analysts, and the company missed the revenue by 90 millions. The revenue year to year is still positive with 8%. So Starbucks actually had decent earnings, but they lowered the EPS, and in addition the sales growth didn't see as much improvement for the full year. And I thought that Starbucks was going to give us a better quarter than the previous quarter. And I thought that Starbucks was going to have a really good quarter in July, but that was not the case. Now let me show you the technical analysis. Now as you can see in the stock chart, the RSI was starting to become more bullish during July. The stock price was basically at the resistance level before they reported earnings. And in my opinion, before they reported earnings, I thought that the stock was going to move above the resistance level. The stock was trading around that level for a few weeks. However, after they reported the earnings, the stock price dropped to the second support level. And that is basically where we are at this moment. We're a little bit above the support level, but the stock hasn't moved and hasn't done that much during the last few weeks. And as you can see on the volume, it was starting to become more positive before they have reported earnings on July. The volume has been mixed during the last few months. One last thing to mention is that the stock has been trading sideways during the last 2 years. The lowest price has been around the $52 price per share, and the highest price has been around the $60 per share. And what do I think about this stock now? I think this stock is going to trade sideways during the next few months. It had the chance to go over the $60 price before the reported earnings on July. And Starbucks is a really good stock to own for the next 3 to 5 years. And remember, this company pays a good dividend, but the growth is not there at this moment. And now for the number 4 company that I mentioned was Micron. Now Micron has been one of my favorite stocks during the last few months. Now let's see how the company has moved during the last few months. And as you can see, Micron has been positive during the last 3 months. Micron had moved 36.14% during the last 3 months. And Micron was one of the companies that I mentioned after they have reported earnings at the end of June. At the end of June, they reported a good quarter. They beat the EPS and revenue. The company beat the EPS by 11 cents and the revenue by 160 millions. The revenue year to year at that point was 92%. And after the company reported great earnings, the share price actually ended up dropping a huge amount. There was a lot of analysts saying that the demand for the products that this company creates was not going to be that high. And that huge decline during July gave investors a good opportunity to get into the company and buy shares. And the company had another quarter during the last few weeks and even had a better earning than last time. In the latest earning, they beat the EPS by 18 cents and the revenue by 180 millions. The revenue year to year is 90.7%. But now let's take a look at the technical analysis and see how the company stands at this moment. Now as you can see, the RSI at this moment is a little bit too high. And that is, at least to me. There is support around the $32 price, which I don't think the company is gonna drop at that price anytime soon. And during the last year, the company has been on an amazing run. As you can see in the stock chart, the company had a huge discount during July. And one thing to mention is look at that volume, it has been amazing during the last few weeks. Now what do I think about Micron at this moment? I think the share price is a little bit too high at this moment for me. So I would wait for the company to pull back a little bit more and then start getting more shares back into the company. However, I see the company setting new highs during the next few months. And the company has a good chance to be around the price of $42 and above in 2018. We will see what happens. I think the demand for the company products that this company produces is still gonna be there within the next few months. And now for the number 3 company was Lam Research. Now, not a lot of people have asked me about this company, but the company has been really good during the last 3 months. Lam Research has been positive during the last 3 months. The company has gone up 32.69% during the last 3 months. And Lam Research has been one of the most underrated company that I have mentioned in this channel. The company posted earnings on July as well, and they had a really good quarter. The company beat the EPS by 8 cents and the revenue by 30 millions. The revenue year to year 51.6%. And Lam Research will post earnings during the next few weeks. Now let's take a look at the stock chart to see how the company is at this moment. Now you can see the RSI is a little bit overbought. Now you can see the company has 2 supports, one around the 155. The company will drop at that price if it posts a really awful earnings. I don't think that's going to happen. And the second support is around the 128. And the company, just like Micron, the company has been on an amazing run during the last year. And most importantly, the volume has been very positive during the last few weeks. And the company share price is a little bit stretched in my opinion. I think a better value would be if the share price was around 172 instead of 184. Now, if I made the decision to invest into Lam Research, I would wait for a pullback before getting any shares from this company. But I do think that this company has a really good chance of being at the price of 200 per share in 2018. We will have to see what happens within the next few months. Now let's go to the next company. And the number 2 company that I mentioned in that video was Baozun. And I have mentioned Baozun during the last few weeks in this channel. Now let's take a look how the company has done in the last 3 months. Now you can see in this graph from July to this date, the company has gone up 51.66% during the last 3 months. And like I mentioned in the July video, I mentioned that this company was going to have huge swings on either side. But Baozun is dominating in China in that space. Now Baozun reported earnings on August and the company reported good earnings. It beat the EPS by 1 cent and the revenue by 0.35 millions. The revenue year to year is 24.9%. And I did an analysis video when the company reported the earnings, and I believe that the company dropped over 20% within the next 2 days. Here's the video if you wanna see it. And in a matter of a couple weeks, the company was setting new highs. The company came back from around the $27 price to around the $40 price in a couple of weeks. So that huge drop actually presented an opportunity to get some shares in this company. And I ended up selling the position in the high 30s and buying the position back in the low 30s. And at this moment we're at the mid price, but now let's take a look at the stock chart. Now you can see the RSI has been mostly overbought during the last few months, except at this moment it's not overbought. And Baozun had the support around the $32 per share, and the second huge support is around the $22 per share. And the volume during the last few months has been mostly positive, except when it sold off in August. That was the only exception. And during the last year the company has been amazing. It has gone up a huge amount. Now you can see in the stock chart there are 2 vertical lines. That is called channels, and that is a good way that you can read a stock chart. And as you can see in the stock chart, those channels are very bullish. Now what I think about this company, I think this company at this moment is taking a break. I think it's gonna continue moving higher within the next few months. You just need to have patience and wait for the next move, because I think this company share price is probably gonna move within the next few months. And the number 1 company that I mentioned during July was Constellation Brands. And Constellation Brands just reported a really good quarter in the last week. And during the last week, the company reported a really good quarter. But now let's take a look how the company had moved during the last 3 months. And Constellation Brands has been positive during the last 3 months. The company had moved 9.59% from July to this date. And now let's take a look at the quarter that they just reported last week. The company beat the EPS and revenue. The company beat the EPS by 30 cents and the revenue by 20 millions. And just like I mentioned in the July video, Constellation Brand was not going to move really fast in the next few months. However, it was going to move at a steady pace, and that's what the company has been doing during the last 3 months. But now let's take a look at the technical analysis for this company. And as you can see, the RSI is a little bit overbought. They just reported earnings and the company is setting new highs. The good thing about this company is that it has a lot of support. The first support is around the $200 price. The second support is around the 190 price, and the third support is around the 180 price. And before I explain why the company had a huge drop from November to February, let's take a look at the volume. The volume has been great during the last few weeks and has been positive in 2017. And the situation from November to February, the company had a huge decline. The president mentioned that he was going to impose a tax from any import from foreign countries, and because the company imports beers that are created in Mexico, it is going to have a huge decline in the revenue. But as you can see in the stock chart from February to this day, the company has been positive and it will probably continue running for the next few months. Unlike I mentioned in the stock chart, I think this company is going to continue setting new highs within the next few months, and I expect the share price to be around 220 in 2018. The only thing that might stop this company is if we have another news similar to what the president announced in November, and even then that might present another opportunity to get more shares at a discount price. And that is gonna be everything for the video. Please leave in the comment sections if you have any shares from any of the companies mentioned in this video. I do have shares for Constellation brands, Baozun, and I have a small position in Micron. I'm gonna have the patience to wait for the Micron share price to move down so I can start buying more shares in that company. And as always, you can subscribe to the Financial Information channel. I'm gonna continue bringing videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. I wanna thank you once again for watching the video. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.